Welcome to another edition of Niger Innis Presents The Trump Revolution, a part of the TvAbraham network. Well, folks, our friends in Israel are engaged in what some would call a civilizational struggle. They have hit Iran. They have hit them very, very hard. It seems to me that the malocracy is in danger. And obviously, that is going to have a ripple effect throughout the region and to some extent throughout the world. But today's guest, a great guest, we've had him on, well, actually, I've been on his show before. Now I turn the tables and he has agreed so graciously to join us to discuss this and discuss the effects that this war that Israel has launched against Iran, what impact it will have on MAGA Nation. There's no better person I can think of to discuss these matters than Wayne Allyn Root. Wayne is, of course, an entrepreneur. He has one of the top TV and radio shows in the country. And perhaps his best, for the purpose of this interview, where we're going to go deep into the Trump legacy, foreign policy-wise and domestically with MAGA, he is the BFF, the number one BFF of President Trump. He says in Las Vegas, I say in the state of Nevada. Welcome to the show, Wayne.
Yeah, well, I'm a BFF of Trump nationwide, but not the number one nationwide. But I'm definitely number one in Las Vegas, so that's good enough for me. It's kind of funny, Niger, because whenever Trump comes to town and I go backstage to see him, he always says, "There's my Vegas guy, Wayne Allyn Root. He's my Vegas guy."
Those are some very powerful words, and I don't think you can get a better endorsement than that, my friend. So
well, I love Vegas and I love Trump, so it makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we can see right behind you all these pictures of you and the president doing thumbs up, and several of the president's books as well. And some have actually called you, in terms of the personality of President Trump, almost like a President Trump as a type of persona here in Nevada and in Las Vegas in particular.
Well, you know what's funny is you bring up that topic, and we'll get right to Israel. I know that's the point of this interview. But I wrote the book Trump Rules 5 years ago. And it was about the fact that when I was a freshman at Columbia University in New York, this really cool guy, 15 years older than me, was the king of New York. He was taking New York by storm.
Yep.
His name was Donald J. Trump, and he was building the first major new hotel in New York in like 50 years. And then within a year, he was building Trump Tower right down the street from Columbia University. So I decided this was my hero, and this was my mentor, and I wanted to be like Trump. So I've been studying Trump for 45 years, since I was a freshman at Columbia University, and he was my New York mentor. And I wanted to be a businessman like him, and my life has turned out so much like him. It's scary. Radio, TV, reality TV shows, married to beauty queens. My life has all been like President Trump. So
if she had Eastern European roots, you guys would be ditto.
Yeah, I like to marry Texas girls. But
hey, there ain't nothing wrong with Texas. I can't blame you for that, Wayne.
No, Southern girls with blonde hair, a little different than Trump, but always beauty queens, models, and actresses just like Trump, and reality hit TV shows like Trump. And now I've got a big hit TV show called America's Top 10 Countdown on Real America's Voice TV, which airs every weekend nationwide. And the best place to find everything I do, national radio, podcast daily, video podcast daily, audio podcast daily, and my big weekend show, America's Top 10 Countdown. It's all at root4america.com. That's my command central. At the top, it says watch Wayne on TV, listen to Wayne on the radio, watch Wayne's podcast, listen to Wayne's podcast. Click on any of those tabs and you're on.
That makes sense. That's outstanding. And Wayne, I'm going to get this started by discussing a very interesting conversation I had with my Uber driver on the way to our studio here in Washington, D.C. And she's from Bangladesh. And she said, we got into a little conversation about the war in Iran. And she said, I didn't vote for Trump. I am not necessarily a Trump fan, but he is the only president that could prevent World War III and prevent American blood and treasure being spilled in another, quote, forever war in the Middle East. What are your thoughts about her observations?
Well, my whole Trump thing began in 2015. I used to be a Tony Robbins speaker all over the world. I spoke on motivation and business success and sales all over the world. I gave 4 speeches in South Africa. Longest
Wow.
flight in the world.
Wow.
Atlanta to South Africa. I had to get from Vegas to Atlanta, then 22 and a half hours in the air from Atlanta to Johannesburg, South Africa. And on the way back from one of those speeches, they had a limo pick me up at the event, the hotel in Johannesburg. And the limo took me to Johannesburg Airport, the Joburg Airport, as they call it.
Yeah.
And the driver was a black South African, and he was listening on the radio to a segment about Donald Trump.
Interesting.
And Trump had just announced for president. And I said to the guy, I said, you know Donald Trump? And he said, of course I know him. I watch Apprentice every week. I love the guy. He goes, you're the luckiest people in the world. He's going to be the president of the United States. I said, you know that. He said, he's absolutely going to be president. I watch Apprentice. This guy's the biggest winner ever. And how lucky are you that you're going to have a president who knows how to make everyone rich and prosperous? And we're stuck in South Africa. Lucky America. And that was when I realized how great Donald Trump was. In every circle, every corner of the world, they know the name Donald Trump before he became president.
Absolutely.
Twice. So he's an amazing guy.
Some people run for president to become stars. Donald Trump took his star to the presidency of the United States.
And took it to another level. Took it to another massive level. So I understand this guy, I think, better than anyone, because I've spent so much time around him and so much time studying him. And I've been his opening speaker at so many Vegas events. He chose me as the opening speaker.
Right.
I got married 3.5 years ago. My wife and I had our honeymoon at Mar-a-Lago. He invited us.
Yes,
to
I remember you telling me about that.
I mean, I just got back from Mar-a-Lago a month ago, where I was the speaker at the big Lincoln Day dinner, their annual Lincoln Day dinner for the Palm Beach Republican Party. They have it every year at Mar-a-Lago. 1,000 people, star-studded event, and they chose me to be their master of ceremonies and their big speaker. So, I mean, I saw Trump while I was there. He was having dinner with Elon Musk and Elon's son X. And so I walked over to their table and had a conversation with Trump in front of Elon. So, I mean, I really do know the man very well, and I understand him. And I've been able to predict on TV and radio for the last 10 years. My career has been the same time as him. From the moment he started running, I got my first radio show, and then several TV shows on Newsmax TV, and now Real America's Voice TV. And I've always made predictions on the air about what Trump would do next and what the outcome would be. And every single one of them has been right. I predicted he'd win in 2016 and upset Hillary. I predicted he'd win an electoral landslide this time and win all 7 swing states and win the popular vote. And by the way, when I was backstage, Niger, and I told him that, he looked at me like, what? I'm going to win the popular vote? I said, you're going to win the popular vote and sweep the swing states. So I know this guy, I understand him, and he is the only guy that could prevent World War III, and he is the only guy with the New York attitude, the tough guy, New York attitude, which I have too, but I'm not president of the United States, and I'm not staring down Iran. He's the only guy in the position that he's in with tough New York street smarts and a tough, aggressive fighting attitude to stare down the mullahs and the Ayatollah of Iran and tell him, you think you're going to make a statement that the world will remember for centuries? I will erase your nation. Yep. It's not because I want nuclear war, Wayne Root, or Donald Trump. It's because if you don't slap them in the face and let them know that you mean business, and this is what you have to do with all Middle Easterners, you've got to let them know. And the proof was when Jimmy Carter was president. Yeah. And they just,
which is when this entire crisis started, actually, in
and the
79.
minute Reagan got in, they ran like little cockroaches in the night, scared to death, because they really felt Reagan was a wild man who might press the nuclear button. And we've got that again with Trump. And that's the only way not to cause war. It's the only way to get peace through strength. If they really do believe, you're not bluffing, that you will nuke them, or you will drop a daisy cutter bomb on their nuclear facility and it will nuke them. If they really believe you'll do that, and it's not a bluff, that's what will prevent war and end this and bring them to the peace table.
And
that's exactly what I think
Uber driver, amateurish, but had a brilliant insightfulness. Again, she said she had not voted for Trump. She was not a Trump supporter, but she thanked God that Trump was president during this time because he felt he was the only one that could pull us out of a potential World War III, probably by executing exactly the New York attitude that he, you, and I a little bit have.
Well, let's make sure everybody knows you and I are both from Mount Vernon, New York. What are the odds of that?
I spent several years in Mount Vernon, New York, and of course you were born and raised there.